A man is like a vessel cast into a storm. The sea rages around him. Winds howl like the cries of ambition, vanity, and fear. And yet, within that vessel, there may be silence. Can you sit among emperors without needing their favor? What does it mean to be rich? Abundance in coin or in clarity? Do we own wealth, or are we owned by our craving for it? If Seneca gained riches without kneeling to them, is that not the true art? Should we not seek to be the kind of person wealth cannot corrupt? What profit is there in gain if the soul is lost in the transaction? Now answer this. If everything outside you is in chaos, can you still be rich? If your soul remains calm? This is not a riddle. It is the question that defined Seneca's life. A man surrounded by emperors and executioners, riches and ruin, who became wealthy beyond measure, not by chasing gold, but by mastering his own soul. Not in spite of Stoicism, but because of it. In this video, we will explore the profound teachings of Stoicism on the philosophical rule of life that made Seneca rich, without chasing money, and the practical steps you must follow to achieve even more than the great Stoics. We begin not with wealth, but with poverty. The kind of poverty that lives in a man who always wants more. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This is not a denial of riches. It is a declaration of power. Power over desire's wealth. Seneca did not shun gold. He owned estates, enjoyed luxury, advised emperors, but his riches were not the source of his peace. They were the test of it. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. He made money serve him, not the other way around. There is a rule, ancient and buried beneath centuries of misunderstanding. A Stoic rule of life that leads not just to wealth, but to mastery, serenity, and influence. The rule is this: own, but do not be owned. Let me tell you the story of how this rule changed everything. Seneca lived at the heart of Rome's corruption. Nero, the most feared ruler of the age, called him mentor. Gold poured in from all corners of the empire. Seneca could have been consumed, but he was not. Why? Because he practiced a deeper form of wealth, detachment. Every morning, he rehearsed loss. Every evening, he reminded himself that fortune could take all things but his mind. "Begin at once to live," he wrote, "and count each separate day as a separate life." What does this mean? It means if your peace is dependent on the stock market, the job title, or the approval of men, you are a slave. You are not free. You are not rich. But if you can wake up with nothing and still be calm, still act with purpose, still serve others, you are the wealthiest person alive. Rule number 1, stop needing approval. Carl Jung once warned that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and yet it is the first key. The moment you seek applause, you've sold your freedom. Seneca did not flatter Nero to gain wealth. He guided him to avoid chaos. He spoke truth, even when it risked everything. Number 2, practice voluntary discomfort. Set aside a certain number of days, Seneca wrote, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Why? Because when you face hunger and cold by choice, you no longer fear them, and what you do not fear cannot control you. A man who has dined with hunger walks fearlessly into fortune. Number 3, define enough. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. You must write this in stone. What is your enough? Without that line, ambition becomes a bottomless pit. Seneca earned wealth, but he set a moral limit. When riches crossed the boundary of virtue, he gave them up. Pause for a moment. If this wisdom resonates with you, if it stirs something buried, ancient, and powerful inside, then take a breath and subscribe. Like the Stoics, we journey not for pleasure, but for transformation. And this journey continues every day, one teaching at a time. Now, more truths. Number 4, invest in virtue, not luxury. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But Stoicism says, it is better to be respected for virtue than feared for power. Seneca did not buy influence. He earned it through character. Virtue is the only investment that compounds in life and in death. Number 5, build inner citadels. Marcus Aurelius called the soul a citadel, an unbreachable fortress. While others built marble estates, he built unshakable principles. Storms come, empires fall, but what you build inside you, no one can seize. The man who owns himself cannot be bought. Number 6, use money like a tool, not a throne. Seneca once lent vast sums without demanding repayment, not as a show of power, but to prove to himself that he was not owned by gold. "Money has never made man rich," wrote Epictetus. "It only reveals who he is. If your money amplifies fear, addiction, vanity, it is not wealth, it is poison." Number 7. Embrace Memento Mori. To remember death is to remember urgency. Every coin you earn is borrowed time. Every day lived for luxury alone is a day buried in sand. Seneca wrote to Lucilius, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire. But the man who remembers he will die lives most deeply." Number 8. Choose discomfort over decay. Gaius Mazonius Rufus said, "Luxury makes men weak. There is no virtue in endless ease." Seneca's mornings began not in silk but in thought, not in leisure but in philosophy. Every day you delay challenge, you invite atrophy. Do not rot in comfort. Sharpen yourself against adversity. Number 9. Know when to let go. There came a day when Seneca was commanded by Nero to die. He did not plead, he did not run. He opened his veins and spoke to his friends as if it were any other evening. That is the measure of a man who has let go of everything except his principles. This is what it means to be rich. What you hold in your heart, no emperor can steal. Number 10. Beware the slavery of comparison. Do not waste what remains of your life comparing yourself with others, wrote Marcus Aurelius. What use is gold if your eyes are always on another man's plate? Seneca's wealth did not define him. His ability to walk away from it did. Your only competitor is your former self. Now listen, you have walked through ancient fires. You have seen what it means to hold wealth in one hand and discipline in the other. But this path is not just to be known, it must be walked. So if this voice has awakened something in you, a call to live deeper, sharper, freer, then follow it. Subscribe not to this channel alone, but to the discipline that leads to true riches. Click the bell, not for noise, but for reminders. Reminders that your mind is your empire, that every day is a coin, that the richest man is not the one with the heaviest purse, but the lightest soul. And before you go, there is another path, another Stoic teaching even more piercing than this one. It is waiting, a video that reveals how to become dangerously smart in just 1 week, not through tricks, but through truth, the kind that reshapes the way you walk through the world. Watch that next. Begin again, build your citadel. The storm is still coming. Be ready, be still, be rich. By Stoic standards, by your soul's command. Forever.